listening to the Nerdy Reads podcast, a hipster goblin media production.
Hey, hello to all our friends from the Nerdverse. Welcome to the Nerdy Reads podcast. We read nerdy stuff such as sci-fi, fantasy books, comics, manga, and horror. We also discuss all other nerd things from around the globe. Will we see Lancelot return in this story? Is King Arthur alive? Why is Merlin despised? Well, we explore these things today as we continue our journey through The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. We will also take a trip to the New Stuff Cafe where the guys are trying our very first Chick-fil-A item today. There will be some book happenings, nerdy news, and a lot of fun along the way. I am one of your hosts, Sir Longbeard, and with me is another misfit from the round table, Sir Baby Dylan. Well met, good sir.
Wow. Well met. Sir Baby Dylan. That's a name.
It's definitely a name.
I'm rolling with it. I like it. But I'm not the only person that is currently around this round table. We got with us. He is returning once again from the shadows of the lands of King Arthur. I don't know. I didn't read the book, so I can't think of anything genius to say, but that's okay because we got an amazing guest once again. It's our boy Ketone.
How fare thee? I'm here on another episode to talk about the Bright Sword and a bunch of other stuff. How fare thee?
How fare thee? And you guys may have noticed we didn't intro Robert. If you're watching online, you may be like, man, there's a screen missing. Well, our friend is enjoying some time with his family in the wonderful world of Universal Studios, where he's taking pictures with Dr. Doom, Spider-Man, all sorts of fun things. I'm sure next week we'll hear about his adventures in the land of Florida. Maybe he ran into a Florida man down there. Who knows? So, well, hey, you never know what's going to, maybe he is the Florida man, you know? You never know what's going to happen. But in honor of Robert, I do have a question for you guys today. I tried to find, I scoured the internet, but here we go. If you could only keep 3 apps on your phone, now this is in addition to the stock apps. So you'll have your messaging, you'll have your phone, all that stuff. But if you could only keep 3 additional apps, what are you taking?
Take it away, Dylan.
Listen, YouTube is absolutely essential. I'm a self-proclaimed iPad kid, so I have to have YouTube. I would say number 2, I would probably number 2, I would probably go with, I really don't use a lot of other social media. Like I do for the show, but recently I've been failing at even promoting the show. Honestly, I feel like Instagram is a good, solid social media overall. It's not too toxic. It's fairly family friendly for the most part. It can be a little much sometimes, but I feel like that one. So I would go with YouTube. I would go with Instagram, and then I think probably. Oh man, Keaton, go ahead and give your 3. I might have to come back with that.
All right. So I also think you have to go with at least one social media. My pick, Twitter.
Oh man.
Yeah, because you can get anything on there. So you can get news, you can get any kind of information you need, I would say, probably from Twitter.
Real news, fake news.
Exactly. Well, you get fake news from all of them.
That's true.
So, I mean, but I think that's the way to go. Twitter for your social media. My other one would probably be Spotify, so I can listen to all music. You got to have music.
Gotta have Spotify.
You got to have Spotify. Apple Music's not as good. Spotify is better.
You just gave Dylan his 3rd, I feel like. But go on.
Well,
probably. Yeah. Spotify. Number 3 will probably have to be some kind of app related to food business, restaurant.
Nice.
Maybe the Chick-fil-A app, maybe McDonald's, maybe Burger King. I don't know. Something like that.
All right.
Number 3 is going to be Spotify. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I'm taking out Instagram. And I think I might replace that with, I already forgot what it was. Hold on.
Twitter.
If you pick Facebook, you can talk to all the old people who use Facebook.
Marvel Unlimited. I don't know why I didn't think of that.
Marvel Unlimited.
Shout out OBB. Optic Blast broadcast. If you haven't seen our latest episode, it's phenomenal. We talked about Nightwing. Go check it out. Nightwing Year One. Optic
Wow,
Blast broadcast.
my man could not wait to plug. He just he picked Marvel Unlimited's app just to plug the show. Hey, speaking of Marvel Unlimited, bro, I just reached Marvel Insider Elite.
Hey,
I have 106,800 redeemable points now. So I know, dude. I read all that Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, if I had to pick, I'd go with Instagram 100%. I have the bros I share reels with, and you said family friendly, but Robert has poisoned my algorithm, and it's beyond repair at this point. So I have Instagram, and then Spotify is a gimme. Have to have the Spotify. And one of my other favorite things to do as I lay in bed is watch something on Crunchyroll. I've been doing this for maybe 12 years, watching an anime before I go to bed. So
I didn't think of that.
Gotta have the Crunchyroll on.
That's a good one.
You know what? It says Dylan did it. Whatever. Hey, Anime Tofu, we dropped an episode this week as well. Go check that out. All right, guys. All right, it is time for Comic and Manga Corner Madness. All right, you probably noticed it's a little bit different today because we're talking about a crossover event. Exciting news for Naruto fans, as the manga is collaborating with the popular American comic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I'm pretty sure we all in this show love. And while this announcement happened a while ago, we now have a release date. The media house of both IDW Publishing and Viz Media are set to launch a crossover comic in November this year. The crossover comic will have 4 issues, with the first one releasing on Wednesday, November 13th of 2024. So mark your calendars. This is going to be something I think is going to be pretty awesome. The crossover comic will release in total of 4 issues. Like we said, it's a script that's been written by Caleb Gollner, who was also the writer of Sonic the Hedgehog. Kind of cool. And there's a bunch of really pretty popular artists that have been a part of this, and there's people who even did things for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that are a part of this team. So really, really cool. And they're saying, man, it's an honor. All these guys are excited because this is one of the biggest mangas in the world right now is Naruto, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of the biggest things in North America also. So 2 really monster IPs coming together to make a collaboration. So I have 2 questions for you dudes. First being, are either one of you excited for this at all?
Definitely excited. Yeah, 100% excited. Any kind of crossover with anime and comic book stuff is a must read for me. Yeah.
100%. Dylan.
So I'm not much of an anime guy, but
Sure.
I am a TMNT guy. So I would be willing to check it out. But again, I'm not much of an anime guy, but I would give it a shot.
Are you a ninja guy though?
I'm a ninja guy.
Okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle kind of guy.
That's fair. I'm also very, very excited for this. I'm pretty sure we'll have some sort of coverage on this at some point in some realm in Hipster Goblin Media, whether that's Nerdy Reads, Optic Blast, or maybe even Anime. Maybe all of us will have something. Maybe it'll be a big crossover event for this. Who knows? But my second question for you guys is, I thought this would be fun to talk about. We'll start with you, Keaton. What other comic manga crossover would you like to see? This could be, and Dylan, I think I mentioned this to you earlier, even if this is 2 different comic companies were to crossover, it could be, we can go into that realm also. So what would you like to see, Keaton? We'll start with you.
I'm going to stick to the anime comic book formula. I got 2 that I think would be pretty good. We've been talking a lot about Deadpool recently with the new Deadpool Wolverine coming out. I think Deadpool, with how gory it is, and Chainsaw Man with how it is also. I think Chainsaw Man and Deadpool would be a crazy combo, just 2 characters that tear people up.
Yeah.
And number 2 would probably be with superpowers, Avengers, and My Hero Academia.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I think it would be interesting because it's all about powers and heroes.
Yeah, that's good. Dylan, what do you got for us?
So I think for me, it's going to be a very stereotypical answer, but I just because I want to see him duke it out, I want to see Batman versus Iron Man.
Oh, that is good though. You got two rich dudes who are both very smart and do some pretty cool things with their money going at it. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it would turn out.
Yeah, that's good. You know, I always like to take the DBZ guys and put them in battle with someone. And sometimes that's hard to find in the superhero world, but I think it'd be fun to see like Thor, and you take like the ultimate of the Avengers and like even like Hulk and some of those dudes and put like, because Hulk could fight somebody like, he'd get waxed by Goku or Vegeta or them, but you could take like the Hulk and put him against Krillin or something like that. And then, Thor can fight against some of the bigger characters. So you'd have the gods fighting against your DBZ Saiyans and stuff, which I think would be a pretty dope crossover. So
I think some Green Lanterns or some Lanterns versus some Dragon Ball Z characters would be pretty cool, or Dragon Ball characters.
Yeah, that'd be fun too. I think I love stuff like this. The more things that we see like this, I just think it opens up all sorts of cool possibilities, and how popular comics are and how popular anime is. What a great time to strike while the iron's hot for both of these things. So, all right, guys, we're looking forward to that. So without further ado, give us just a few minutes. I think we're actually walking back to the freezer today for the New Stuff Cafe, as our friends are going to try our very first item from Chick-fil-A here in just a moment. All right, everybody, welcome back to the New Stuff Cafe. And so we will be hitting a topic that Dylan's going to actually be leading us in. But before we do, Dylan, what are you guys having today?
Listen, Justin, Keaton, get ready for the most epic, the most amazing, the most delicious, culture-defining, kick your kid in the face taste. Get ready for the banana.
Kick your kid in the face.
Drop kick him in the face. Send him flying.
Today we got the Chick-fil-A banana pudding milkshake.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
Nice. When you
I've only heard good things about this. You ever had a banana Laffy Taffy?
Yeah. That's what it tastes like?
Yeah, 100% straight banana.
Yeah? Are you guys fans? Does this get the Nerdy Read stamp of approval?
I'm going to finish this thing, this whole thing.
This is phenomenal. I'm a big banana kind of guy.
Big banana guy.
Why? Why?
Big time banana guy.
Yeah. That right there was way better. We got a lot growing up to do. Well, sounds like the banana pudding milkshake gets a stamp of approval from the Nerdy Reads team. All right.
Go check it out.
Huge banana guy.
Do not, by the way, recommend Chick-fil-A on State Street if you live in the New Albany area. I'm sitting in the drive-thru. Mm-hmm. I ordered a milkshake. I didn't get anything else. I'm sitting there. By the way, I don't support insurance fraud, but if you want to get hit by a car, make sure you go to the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. But I had two cars zip by me trying to get past because I'm trying to get over in this lane, and because it's open and there's a couple cars that are a little moved up forward, so I'm trying to get over there, and then this lady pulls in behind me and almost hits me, and then another lady comes around and does it again, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? So then I sit there, I pull up to the thing, I'm waiting for my food, I'm waiting for my milkshake. This guy brings a bag of food, he brings it over, takes it to the two ladies that almost hit me that were behind me, and then they get their food, they pull out, they're having a great day, cool. And then he comes back out with another bag of food, walks right past me, gives it to the person behind me, goes back, grabs another bag of food, walks up to me, he's like, are you Bailey? And I'm like, no, don't think so. Walks by me, gives it to the person behind that person, then comes back, walks, grabs a bag. Then on his way out, he stops and he's like, what did you get? And I was like, I literally just got a milkshake, bro. And he's like, okay. He walks back inside. He's gone for a sec, walks back out with two bags, gives them to the person that's fourth or fifth in line. And I'm like, I just ordered a milkshake. Mm-hmm. And then finally, I got my milkshake. Long story short. But it's really good, though. I just don't recommend going to the drive-thru.
The only inconvenience at Chick-fil-A I had was it took me like 3 minutes to get through the whole thing. Flew through it. Only thing was when I pulled into the driveway, they got the 2-lane method. Car in front of me, middle of both the lanes to try to get the faster one.
Man. All right. Well,
they chose wrong.
Dylan, did you say thank you when they handed you the milkshake?
I did.
Did you say my pleasure?
He did say my pleasure. And I told him I'm a big time banana guy.
Did you say Did you say you're a big banana guy? Because that's what you said.
He said he's a huge banana guy.
Huge banana guy. That's right. That's right. All right. You know, one thing that's becoming a common theme is that every time Dylan goes to a fast food restaurant for anything, there's always some sort of debacle. And I'm starting to feel like there is one common denominator in this, and it's you, Dylan. Absolutely. So a part of me feels like Chick-fil-A is not the problem. McDonald's is not the problem.
McDonald's is the problem.
Burger King isn't the problem. Dylan. Dylan's like, I ain't having this. All right. Well, we got some discussion points we're going to talk about today. And again, man, this is the day of sweet baby Dylan, because he's going to lead us in this too. Dylan, what you got going on today, brother?
So if you are a member of the Nerdverse or any interest in all things nerdy, or if you were a kid anytime in the 70s or even the 80s or even the 90s, you probably know this amazing person that we are going to be talking about today. It's going to be a little sad, but that's okay.
Sure.
But today we're going to be discussing the late, great James Earl Jones, who unfortunately has passed away just a couple days ago. And we're going to be kind of discussing his legacy and what he's leaving behind. Dude's Darth Vader, Mufasa, and Mr. Myrtle. If you're a Sandlot guy, I'm a huge Sandlot guy, so I had to throw him on there.
Yeah, dude. First off, The Sandlot is a legendary movie.
Facts.
And I just recently learned that the shoes that Benny puts on, the PF Flyers, you can buy those.
Dude, yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, you can get those. They have this
company. I was going to buy some a while back.
I might also buy some. You can buy they have like a thing where you can buy his exact pair that he wears in the movie.
Yep.
They're like Converse.
I'm gonna have to look these up and see how much these things roll.
Very sick, but
I think it's like
there they are. Dude, these are dope, man.
It's great.
These are cool. Okay. All right. Sorry. That's way off topic, but yeah, he was great in Sandlot. And, when we posted about this and, we recognized him as Darth Vader, which obviously is a huge role. And he was amazing at that. But here's a dude who played so many really, Mufasa, you got that on here. Come on, dude. Like, he was a great voice of Mufasa. And, this dude is just an absolute legend. I'm glad we're paying a little bit of tribute to him today in our show, because it's only right, I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely agree. People are paying tribute to him all over the world. Mark Hamill made a post about it, and I'm not gonna lie, when I read it, I kind of teared up a little bit. He was like, he pretty much was like, he gave like a little bit of a spiel about like his time that he spent with knowing James Earl Jones, but like he ended up at the end, he literally just said, "Rest in peace, Dad," and I was like, man,
that's heavy. Yeah.
And then also, so the Empire State Building is doing like a little tribute thing. I got it pulled up here. They did like this really epic like Vader, like light show really kind of thing.
Cool.
That is really cool.
That's really cool.
The outline is amazing looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really good.
That's crazy how good that looks, to be honest. Like how they did that. It's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then I also found online this was just a cool graphic. I thought it's him in the middle of all the Star Wars actors who have unfortunately passed away. And so, I think it's pretty cool. You got Carrie Fisher over here, Sir Christopher Lee, and then I don't know why I'm blanking right now on the original Obi-Wan actor, but like just all these people who have really the actor that played Baylan Skoll even in Ahsoka. I feel like there's just been a lot of loss in the Star Wars universe, but this one I think definitely hits pretty heavy to the Star Wars fans. So Star Wars YouTuber that I watch, I talk about him all the time on the show, but Star Wars Theory, he kind of put it like this. This was a quote that he had on in his tribute video that he made. He says, "It's strange. I've never met him, yet they have had such a profound impact on my life simply for the work that they did. Vader wouldn't be who he is without imposing voice." And I think that really just kind of sums up the impact that he has, not just as Vader, but just as many of his other roles, like Mufasa and Mr. Myrtle, and so many other iconic roles, and especially on kids. If you like grew up with these movies, seeing him in the roles definitely played an impact. And every time you hear him speak, you know who it is. Like he's a very iconic.
Yeah. He's one of those dudes that, whenever people talk about, hey, who do you want to read your life story in a biography? I feel like he has to be in your top 2 or 3. It's got to be him, right? It's like him and there's a couple other dudes, but he just does have an iconic voice. We had a friend post about this in our Discord, and Solid Matt actually shared some of his favorite movies that popped into his head. He's talking about kind of outside of the Star Wars universe, but he was saying like Dr. Strangelove, Conan the Barbarian, Coming to America, Grim Prairie Tales, and The Sandlot, which I know we mentioned The Sandlot here too, but it just shows like the diverse work that this dude did. I mean, he's really all over the place, all across the board. A super talent, man. This dude was, and he seemed like such a cool dude too, because he was even in Big Bang Theory. I remember, I don't know if either one of you guys watched Big Bang Theory, but he was in some of those episodes. He was hilarious.
Yeah, didn't he was it Big Bang Theory where he did the prank on Carrie Fisher?
Yes. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. And so it's just like, he was hilarious. And he just seems like the type of dude you could just sit and hang out and have some coffee with and talk about life. So yeah, dude, definitely going to be missed.
100%.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's kind of a tribute to James Earl Jones. We have a lot of appreciation for him and the things that he's done. And like Keaton mentioned too, I mean, he's a baseball movie guru too, Field of Dreams, Sandlot. I mean, he's been in all sorts of stuff. So I'm sure, like Dylan said earlier, that he has impacted your childhood in some way, whether that was Darth Vader, Mufasa, or anything else that he has been a part of. We loved all of those things. Appreciate all the work that he has done. Hey, we're going to miss him, but it seems like he lived a really, really good life, and he impacted a lot of people on the way. And it's just something that we can all hope for in our own lives, is that we have positive impact on the people around us. So guys, without further ado though, we're getting pretty close to ending our time with the Bright Sword. So give us just a few minutes and we'll be right back as we're going to talk through chapters, I think 28 through 33, if I remember correctly. And we'll be right back. All right, we are back for another exciting adventure through Britain. We continue our book club of The Bright Sword by Lev Grossman. Hey, if you've been reading along with us this week, we will cover 29 through 33. If you are not there yet, you can go back to some of our previous episodes to listen on our thoughts on previous chapters. And we are almost through this, friends. We are almost through this. We've been on this for about 5 weeks now. And so we got next week, and that is the end. We will be through The Bright Sword and our first kind of a pretty big book. It's been a really, really good time, and we're starting to get through. We're past the midway point. We're through some of the slog parts of this book, and I know that's been a thing that's been talked a lot about in our Discord, where there were some slow parts, but it has been really, really enjoyable. And now things are starting to ramp up. And so as we start getting through that, Robert is absent today. And as you guys know, Robert usually does do a lot of our synopsis stuff. But in his stead, our friend Sir Kiwi is here today to give us the rundown.
Oh, there. Yes. So last week we talked about, I don't remember which chapters. It was 21 through 28, I think, or 23 through 28, something like that. We talked about Dagonet and Constantine's backstory and all their quests with Galahad and Percival on going for the Holy Grail. We talked about Sir Lancelot and kind of his story with the Indigo Knights and his story with Guinevere and what happened, his take on it. And probably my favorite part from last week, we talked about Merlin and Nimue, about the history between them and the Knights of the Round Table. The remaining knights started on their quest to find the Holy Land. So really, they're finally getting the next push to find the Holy Grail. And that leads us kind of right in to what happened this week, which is this week, bunch of information, a lot of stuff happened.
The reveal of last week was crazy with Lancelot. It's even bigger now, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
This week was crazy. The
reveals in this week was, something you would never think of. We got right off. It didn't start like last week with backstory. It started right off into current day. They're continuing on their quest, and they're sitting in this meadow, and Constantine's like, I think Lancelot's the king, so I'm going to go back, try to convince Queen Guinevere at the monastery to allow Lancelot to be the king. And so he's off. At this time, he leaves the group, and while they're camping that night, Morgan Le Fay and the Wild Hunt comes through. And the Wild Hunt, if you don't know what it is, kind of hard, to understand, but a bunch of weird looking fairies, they're coming through. And what's said in the story is that when you see the Wild Hunt, they take a soul. They're hunting for souls is what they're hunting for. So ended up Morgan Le Fay is like, one of you has to come with me. Palamedes steps up. He hops on the questing beast, I think is what happens. They didn't call it the questing beast, but just the way they described it. Pretty sure it was the questing beast. He hops on it. He rides away with Morgan Le Fay. And later on, Sir Dinadan and Colum think they might have seen Queen Guinevere with the Wild Hunt. Unconfirmed as of right now.
Right.
But they roll up. That leads us into Maul, where Column's originally from, and they find what they think is the Lord. I forget the Lord's name, but they find him, and it turns out Colum is really having a tough time trying to forgive him, or if he shouldn't forgive him. Nimue is like, don't forgive him, he's a jerk, because they had the similar upbringing. And turns out it wasn't the Lord that Colum grew up with. It was actually a fiend, a demon in disguise. And they're still really on the track for the quest for the Holy Lance. So they end up fighting this demon. Sir Scipio takes the charge. He swings first at the demon. The demon eats his sword. The demon has horns, a face. He's like 10 feet tall, and he has a mouth on his stomach. And swings this sword, and the mouth on the demon's stomach just eats the sword. The sword no more. And they're running through these halls. They're trying to get Colum, because he grew up in this place, to kind of navigate them through the maze of this castle or fort or whatever you want to call it. And they get to the roof of it, and they find a ladder. Sir Dagonet, being the most nimble, he climbs the ladder first, shouts down, hey, there's a metal road up here. Crazy. Metal road after you climb on a metal ladder. Don't make any sense. So that's kind of the thing with these quests, these holy quests. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to be a demon. You don't know if you're going to go to the other world. You don't know what's going to happen. Scipio is like, I think Column's the real deal. He might be it. I'm staying behind. I'm fighting this demon. That's the last we see of Scipio for now. They leave Scipio behind. Column's actually really tore up about it, because he's like, he was fighting this demon thinking I'm something important. I don't think I'm important.
Right.
So he was pretty tore up about it. And that leads us into probably one of the biggest parts. They find a church after going along this metal road for a super long time. And that kind of leads us right into the ending of their quest. They find Longris, I think his name. Do you remember his name? Longris or something like that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah,
right.
That sounds right.
And he's there. He's the centurion. I think was he the centurion that stabbed? Yeah, he was the guy that stabbed Jesus in the side with the Holy Lance. And right there, he's holding it. He's got the Holy Lance, and they're like, the quest is finally complete. And they're rejoicing. They're talking to him. They're kind of taking a break because took several hours to even get to this along the middle road. They couldn't, if they got too close to the edge of the middle road, they would fall off. So it was a pretty treacherous road to get to this church. And as soon as they get there, they're talking to this Sir Longris with the Holy Lance. And just when they think everything's finished, they're going to try to figure out who is the heir to the kingdom, to Camelot and to Britannia. Morgan Le Fay shows up. She busts down the door. The giant that saved Colum in the other world from the river, pulled him out of the river. He tears the roof off of this church. And probably my favorite battle scene happens. I know last week or in the weeks before, it was the large battles. There's always, it seems with this, that the battles are only getting better the farther you get into the show, the book. The farther you get into the book, the fights are getting better. And you have all these fairies. You got like a whole fairy army. Morgan Le Fay brings in. Sir Palamedes is there, but he's kind of brainwashed. That's the image that I get, that he's brainwashed. He doesn't really know what he's doing. They're in this fight. The fairies show up. They're like, we're screwed. There's a whole fairy army. They're like, Colum is like praying. They're all king or Longris, the guy with the Holy Lance. He's like, I'm ready to throw down. He's got the lance. He's like, you can't beat me. I got this Holy Lance. Morgan Le Fay's like, your god's nothing. I'm going to whoop you. Sure. And then all of a sudden they see these meteors or, shooting stars come down and they describe it as angels. So sort of like the angels from Constantine and Dagonet's background. These angels fly down to protect the Holy Lance, and it's an all-out brawl between angels and fairies. I mean, it's like I said, the coolest battle that I've seen. You got angels and their wings like shooting lightning down. They got swords and whips and and knives. They're cutting up fairies. The fairies are bashing them down. Morgan Le Fay is shooting lightning at one of these angels gets struck by lightning like 3 times, and feathers are falling off its wings. And it's looked like the angels, it's like a stalemate at this time. And the angels send down some backup. So you got like 3 or 4 more angels that come down. It describes one as like a mass of eyeballs, like people would call it like the biblically correct angel. It's got like a massive eyeballs and all sorts of weird stuff going on, and just massive arms and legs. That's how it describes in the book. And it has, I don't know, some of these other, they say higher up angels, ranked angels, and they come down, they're fighting. Palamedes at this time charges in on his steed, we'll call it. And he's kind of fighting this angel one-on-one, one of the higher up ones, one-on-one, or the black angel, I think it's the one that was all black. He's fighting this thing, and he's getting whooped. So the angel throat slams him down on the ground, bashes him with his own shield, and Sir Dagonet finally reveals his gold dagger that he's had, and he comes up behind the angel, slashes at its like Achilles tendon. Angel drops to the ground. Palamedes starts fighting back. Probably one of the saddest moments. Angel turns around, knocks Dagonet over, grabs the knife, stabs it right through Dagonet's chest. He's dead.
Yeah, he gone.
He lives. He gone. He gone.
Dylan, you want to read this yet, Dylan? It's only gotten more epic than when
it's only gotten more epic
after your first 8 chapters or whatever it was.
No, but I'm so far behind.
It's all right. Just listen to the synopsis from every other week.
Yeah, now you just go and you just skip ahead, bro. I mean, really,
exactly.
you know what's going on at this point.
Exactly. So this huge fight's taking place. Palamedes is fighting an angel. Sir Dagonet just got stabbed by an angel. He's dead. the Holy Lance, Morgan Le Fay's whole goal, she's trying to get this lance. She doesn't want anybody else to have it. Mm-hmm. She wants to destroy it or take it. We don't know quite yet. All of a sudden, another angel, super bright light, they're blinded. Everybody's blinded. Everybody stops fighting, looks at this one angel coming up, probably one of the highest ranked angels is coming down from the sky. The spear, the Holy Lance, floats up beside this angel. And all of a sudden, the giant comes back. Earlier, I forgot to mention earlier, one of the angels slashed the giant across the face, blinded the giant. And the giant fell down. We don't know how far. The giant's back, and he's looking for blood. He swats this angel out of the sky like it's a fly. Mm. He grabs a spear, and he just crunches it, and it breaks. And that's when another blinding flash goes. Everybody's dazed. Colum doesn't know what just happened. He's in shock. He's been knocked back like 20 feet, slammed against a wall. He comes back into consciousness, and Morgan and the fairies are gone, and it's just the aftermath. The angels pulling the dagger out of Dagonet's. They go and regroup. Nimue got hit in the face with a rock or something like that. She got
tore up.
She got wrecked by Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't know magic. You're just Merlin's puppet. Blah blah blah. And she like backhands her, smacks her with magic, covers her in, I don't know what, puts her in a coffin. Basically, that's how it's described. And this fight breaks out in the next chapter. It kind of hurt me. Took us away from that fight and put us right into another backstory. So that kind of goes back to what we were saying about the backstory maybe kind of hurting the
pacing a little bit.
Pacing and the flow of the story.
Yeah.
It takes us into Sir Scipio's backstory.
And can I just, before you get into this?
Yeah, of course.
By Robert's request, and I would also have to back him on this. I actually liked Sir Scipio's story. I really did.
I did. I enjoyed it too. I don't think it was my favorite, but I did enjoy it.
But he said worthless. He said it was a worthless chapter.
It was. No, it was a worthless chapter. And it was also one of the longer ones too.
It was so long.
It was.
And it's not that it wasn't even good. Like there were things about it that I actually really enjoyed. I like the whole, he's with the pikes or whatever. I like the picks, the picks, yeah. And there's the witch and the he goes to the house and he's doing chores and he doesn't know what. There's all that stuff that's cool, but also you get through it and you're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's my exact thought. That's exactly what happened to me. I was like, was this even necessary?
Yeah.
Like I took notes while I was reading. Yeah. And this part of my notes for this chapter is two things: Scipio's backstory and that he was from Rome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like a century old. That's pretty much what I got from this. Scipio, he was a Roman soldier. He had a wife and two kids that lived in Rome, and he was kind of a bad dude. They sent the Roman, army or whatever, sent him all over the place where people need to be taken care of, and he gone to a bunch of different places before he ended up in, I forget the area he ended up in, way north, fighting these basically backwater hicks that pick up like pitchforks and stuff. He had like 18 knights with him, and they were wearing rusted armor. He had full bronze armor. He was the talk of the town, basically.
It kind of reminded me of, I don't know if anybody's watched the Netflix documentary about the Germanic barbarians or whatever when Rome came there. But that's really, when I was reading this, that's what I pictured, because they were very much that way, like pitchforks and live in these tiny little villages. They're fairly mobile. Like the pagan god stuff and witches and druid type things. Very much that's what I envisioned when we were getting through this chapter. Exactly.
And he kind of also, goes into that too. He's talks about why he doesn't even know why they call them the Picts. He doesn't even know what they really are. He just thinks that some higher up person saw that they had like body art, the pictures drawn on them, like kind of he does. and they just called them pics, short for picture, because they got like tattoos basically,
right?
Which is like the most basic name you could give your enemy. Like you want to degrade your enemy, just they would have tattoos. Just call them pics because they got pictures on them.
Yeah,
like
disrespect.
Exactly, disrespect. And I think towards the end of the chapter, he even says like he doesn't even know why he's here, why he's fighting this, and he says that it's basically he's been here so long. It's basically like his men and the people he's fighting, the Picts. It's like barbarians fighting barbarians. That's what he says. That's is pretty much exact wording. But the big takeaway from this chapter, I think, is when he runs into this witch or whatever he finds. They go to this place called Dogtown, which is where the Picts live. And these ones are kind of, it's close enough to where the forts are, to where they're a little less hostile. They're a little more, used to the soldiers being around, so they don't, they don't rebel as much. And they're in this town just to keep them in check. And he goes off with his horse, finds this mound. Now they say that with these old gods and their old ways, they got these burial mounds. He jumps up on this burial mound. One of the funniest parts in this, he's jumping down the mound and he slips and falls like 10 feet. He's got mud all on his backside. And he looks up and he sees this door and he sees a lady in there. He goes in there. The lady just makes him start working. She's like, sweep that up, make me a bed.
Yeah.
And he just does it. He says, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it.
He does it until he passes out.
Yeah, he does it till he passes out. And when he wakes up, it's been like 3 weeks and all his soldiers thought he was dead.
Yeah.
And he ends up, spending a couple more years there. And he gets a letter from the higher ups saying, Rome needs you back. We're facing an attack of, I forget the name of the people. We're facing attack. We're calling everybody back, really. Let them take care of their own problems. He calls them back. And he doesn't go back. He's like, I can go back, see my family, but I want to go see this witch again. So he he rides around on his horse for a long time, finally finds her. Same thing happens. Finds her. She makes him work. She's hitting him. She's beating him up, hitting him till he passes out, making him do all these chores for her. He finally realizes, like, I don't have to do this. Why am I doing this? Tries to kill her. She doesn't die. He basically gets knocked out by her again, wakes up, is like, all right, I'm ready to go back to Rome. Realizes it's been 100 years. So he was helping this lady for, who knows how long, at least 100 years. Rome's no longer. He was from Rome. He knows, he realizes all his family and stuff is dead. He doesn't know what to do. And that's pretty much all we, a bulk of what we get from Scipio's story. And that takes us right into the last 2 chapters of this. So a lot of information up to this so far.
The last 2 are the biggest ones, I feel like.
They definitely are.
Top tier revealing right here.
Top tier revealing, definitely.
All right, man, hit us, bro. Let's get into this. Listen, if you haven't read these guys, if you're in this stage and you're like, hey, I've kind of been following along, and I'm just listening anyway, you may want to pause this.
Exactly.
Because these next 2,
I'm gonna cover my ears really quick.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, do what Dylan's doing. Cover your ears, because these next 2 chapters are, in my mind, this is the best the book has been at this point. I
can echo that.
Yeah, so you may want to just take a moment. So go ahead, Kiwi.
All right, we'll get right into it. So we find out it takes us back to current timeline. They're all bummed. They think that the quest for the Holy Lance is over, and it is. The lance got destroyed. Sir Longris was like, there's no hope anymore. They all think there's no hope.
Mm-hmm.
It takes them like 3 weeks to get down on this mountain, from this mountain that they're on, and to get into civilization. And they finally make it back to Maul, where Column's from, and the same basically path that he took at the beginning of the book to get to Camelot. And they come across, the shield of the knight that Gollum killed Sir Blueberries, and that just kind of reiterates a little bit more that it was Sir Blueberries, because they're like, that's his shield.
Mm-hmm.
Blah. And he kind of explains how the situation that happened with Sir Blueberries, and Sir Dinadan was like, that doesn't sound like him at all. Bedivere was like, that doesn't sound like him at all. So it's still, to me, that's up in the air. Like, was it actually him? Was it somebody wearing his armor?
Yeah.
Just mad or upset because Arthur's gone or whatever? It's kind of up in the air, but they all kind of agree that, that was definitely Sir Blueberry's stuff.
Well, I think it's cool to me that here we are now. What is this? This is chapter 32 that we're talking about. We are now 31 chapters or so removed from chapter 1, where this whole night thing happens.
Exactly.
And there's still a shroud of mystery behind that opening fight with the knight. So,
and I still don't know if more is going to come out, about it.
Yeah.
Because they gloss over it so nonchalantly.
Yeah. It's fairly casual about that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. They don't the only thing that of importance that really came from that was the pendant that Gollum got that was like burning hot after he got his armor, and they started the quest for the Holy Lance.
Yeah.
But so they end up going back to the tavern or the inn that Gollum stayed at, and where he met Morgan Le Fay for the first time, where he met Bedivere for the first time. Bedivere was the drunk guy. Morgan Le Fay was the waitress that was there. And they get there, and these, ragtag hillbillies be like, the king's looking for you. And they're like, the king? Because last they knew, there was no king.
Right.
They've been gone on this quest. They're like, how long have we been gone? There's a king now. And this guy says, yeah, the king's looking for you. And they're like, who's the king? He says, King Galahad. Sir Galahad is the king. And they're all confused. They're like, is Galahad alive? Is he back? What happened? So they head back to Camelot, to the castle. And sheer surprise, they find out it's not Galahad.
Nope.
Or is it Galahad? Who knows?
It's kind of Galahad.
It's kind of Galahad. Dylan, get ready for this. Your head might blow off.
Dylan, dude, get ready, bro. Headphones on.
Headphones on. Galahad is Sir Lancelot. Right? So Sir Lancelot, right? Nobody's mind blown. Robert might have called this. I don't know.
He never
one
did.
of us might. He didn't call it
because
about him going back and being the king.
Well, last week we asked the question: will Lancelot join the group? And I feel like it was pretty unanimous. Everyone said, "Now this is the end of Lancelot's story."
Ooh, that I do remember that. Yeah,
everyone was kind of like, "Yeah, that's it. We saw Lancelot was around. He wants nothing to do with any of this. We're done." We could not have been more wrong.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, go on.
There was no, this threw all of us, I don't know Roberts, but it's threw me and Justin for a loop. We had no idea that Lancelot was going to come back. And the reason why he's going by Galahad is that is his actual name. When he was baptized to be a Christian, they gave him the name Galahad. And the name Lancelot was like kind of like an insult.
Yeah. And what was that again? What was it?
I don't quite remember what the insult was.
It almost felt like a common thing, like a common, yeah. But I do, go on.
We'll see if we can remember it and put it in the Discord.
Yep.
But they find out that Galahad is Sir Lancelot, and he's going by Galahad now because that's his original name. And he was surprised when his wife, I don't know if it was his wife or not, but the lady he had his child Sir Galahad with found out somehow that his real name was Galahad. So he was surprised by her deciding the name Galahad for his son because that was his name, and he thought nobody knew what his real name was. Everybody just called him Lancelot.
Mm-hmm.
And Lancelot and Mordred's son, I forget his name. It also starts with an M, I think.
Yeah.
But Mordred's son and Lancelot let him out of the cellar, out of the dungeon, because he's been in the dungeon since they left. since he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of is welcoming them. They're telling Lancelot about their travels and what happened and how the Holy Lance got destroyed. And Lancelot just flips a switch. He goes berserk. He goes crazy. He starts attacking Gollum. Bedivere grabs. He attacks Gollum with a fire poker. Bedivere grabs it and burns his hand in the process. Lancelot, he goes crazy. Like I said, he starts fighting the Knights of the Round Table. He's like, "You shouldn't have come here. You could have gone anywhere. Why'd you come here?" He was maybe in disbelief. I don't know, but he did not want them to come back, and they came back, kind of messing up his plans. So
not only was he fighting them, he was wrecking them.
He knew. Gollum was like, "Can I get a sword here?" Yeah. And Lancelot was like, "No, you can't get a sword." He was wrecking these dudes. Everybody knows Lancelot's the strongest knight. You can't beat him in one-on-one combat.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting wrecked. He punches Nimue in the face. She got a bloody nose and 2 black eyes, so she can't really do anything. And she ended up finally being able to do something. She summons like a spirit from the fire that they had in the room to attack him, and that gives them a chance to kind of get away. But before that happens, I totally forgot. Before that happens, he breaks the neck of Mordred's son, and they go into Gollum and them kind of go into this little thing like head stuff, or they're thinking to themselves about how like that's the last of the Pendragon's dead now.
Mm-hmm.
That we know of. Some of them believe that Gollum could be related to the Pendragons to Arthur. We don't know that yet, but as far as we know right now, the Pendragons, they're pretty much they're done for.
Yep.
The bloodline, at least, Arthur and Uther and Mordred's son. This takes us to they're trying to escape. They run up a staircase, get up onto the parapet, which is kind of like the wall of the castle. And they're got some knights. They got Sir Lancelot coming back after he gets up to them. They're about to, they have no way to escape at this point. And they see a ship. I don't know how there's a ship. I'm guessing it's a flying ship. They don't really explain how the ship is flying.
Yeah.
But there's a ship, like a pirate ship or some kind of boat, flying through the air with a lady on it. And she's coming to rescue them. Bedivere starts fighting Sir Lancelot. They call him Nimue or Nimue and Sir Dinadan all jump on this ship with the lady steering it. And Bedivere starts fighting off Lancelot. He actually one-ups him, pushes Lancelot down like a staircase, and jumps. The way they describe how he jumps is like he spread eagle through the air, getting a whole bunch of air all in his spread eagle going through the air. He grabs he grabs onto the edge of this boat. And it takes all of them to pull him up because he's such a big dude. Gollum closes his eyes and just starts pulling. Yeah. And the big reveal, another big reveal that we were talking about is Justin. You want to give this reveal?
That who's the lady on the boat?
Who's the lady on the boat?
Guinevere.
It's Queen Guinevere. Dylan, what do you think about Queen Guinevere? Do you think you're ever going to see her again?
Dylan's shocked.
He's lost right now.
Well, here's the thing I find interesting is that I didn't think we'd see Lancelot again, and I thought we would, but then you guys made some good convincing arguments last week that we would never see him again.
Yeah.
I also thought we would not see Guinevere again either. I kind of thought her story was over, and because it just felt like this was going in a different place, and even the whole thing with Gollum potentially being Arthur's son or some sort of relative there. Mm-hmm. We talked about this last week where it's like, that seems to be where this was going, but I hope it doesn't because it just feels too obvious.
Yeah.
And then in a matter of 5 chapters, all these obvious things feel so unobvious now. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Lancelot is a jerk who is, and when I think about these misfits of the Round Table, I feel like out of all of them right now, the strongest warrior is Bedivere.
Yeah, definitely.
My man goes out there and throws down, bro.
Need a one-armed warhammer in his hand. He throws down.
He's that dude, bro. He stood up to Lancelot.
He is that dude.
Yeah. But I like this chapter with Gwen. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, the Guinevere.
No,
you're good. Yeah,
is
Guinevere. This ending kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger if you didn't read past this part, or maybe this is a stopping point before you finished this week. Kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger with Guinevere helping them escape on this flying boat. They're getting away. They're flying through the sky. This takes us to the final chapter, chapter 33 this week. And it's the shortest chapter we read this week. I don't know about the shortest chapter in the book, but it's pretty short. And it is all basically Guinevere talking, pretty much. She goes over her side of the story with Lancelot, and you learn that Lancelot is a real creep. He rivals Merlin in creepiness.
Oh, dude. So it's funny because when he told the story, it was that he was summoned to her chamber.
You're right.
By someone who was looking to set him up. He's like, "Oh, I dressed in my robes," and he was like trying to be all like innocent with it.
Exactly.
When in all reality, dude, he forces his way in there.
Yeah,
then he sits on our bed naked, basically, like waiting for people to come in.
Oh yeah, he's a creep, just like Merlin. He
is very like, what's happening? Sorry.
No, you're fine. Yeah, exactly. He shows up to the door. Guinevere tries to get him away. She's like, "Get here, dude. I with you a little bit, but these kind of courtly relations are supposed to say just that, just with some flirting. Nothing's ever supposed to happen." And she's like, "I love Arthur. I don't love you. You're just somebody to flirt with. Sure. The best knight, right?" And he busts down the door, hog ties her, hands, legs. What did he probably say? Gags her too. I don't know. It goes into how he ties her up. It's kind of weird.
It's a family show. We just got very. We're at PG-13 now. We're entering into R rating.
We're using our one word. All right.
Go on.
And like Justin said, he gets naked and just sits there and waits. And the way she describes it is the difference between the stories is she says that Lancelot was the one who tipped off Mordred that he was going to be there. So he kind of designed this whole plan that he was going to get caught with Guinevere and he was going to have Mordred find him. And that's what happened, really. Mordred ends up showing up. Guinevere says Mordred shows up. Mordred has all these knights with him. And the way Lancelot described it was he barely made it alive. He doesn't know how he got out there alive. He was super lucky. The way Guinevere describes it is one dude gets to the door, Lancelot murders him immediately. The dude has no chance. Lancelot is naked, takes his weapon, stabs him through the neck of his armor, kills him. Second dude comes in, Lancelot grabs a knife 20 feet away, throws the knife through the eye holes in his helmet.
Wasn't even looking.
He was eyes closed, 360 no scope trick shot. Hits this dude in the eye slits, the very thin slits in the helmet. Knife goes straight through, kills the dude. He's absolutely murdering these guards. Completely different from what he said. And this was all a setup. Guinevere says that Lancelot, kind of like Arthur loves Mordred, right? And questing and all that sort of stuff. That's what he really loves. And Lancelot is in love with God. He doesn't care about anything else. He had no emotion during this whole fight. He's empty. People think he's really, full of all these good things and the best knight or whatever. No, completely wrong. You could never be more wrong. He is an empty dude. All he cares for is God and God's approval and whatnot. And pretty much we'll close it out here. Probably the third biggest hammer drop in this part of the story is they're on this flying boat and they're going to Avalon, which is the place supposedly Arthur's at. Guinevere says he's there, but he's gravely injured. So they're on their way to Avalon to find a gravely injured Arthur.
Yep.
Sorry. And that's
huge.
Huge, because we all said Buddy's dead, he ain't coming back. That's another person. That's another thing we got wrong. We said he ain't coming back.
We're wrong.
We're wrong.
Hashtag Nerdy Reads wrong. We wrong on almost every prediction in this book so far. I thought this chapter was really cool. I loved hearing the story from her, and even when she was talking about Lancelot, she's like, there was no passion in his eyes. He cares nothing.
Yeah.
He cares nothing for me whatsoever. And even when she was describing him as a warrior, she said, I don't even think his heart rate goes up, or that he even is feeling strain from that. It's just, he's just natural at the way when he's in a battle, when everyone's like amping up, he just stays chill. And that's what probably makes him so dangerous. But all these chapters and all these reveals have made this story take a completely big flip around for me. And I know, again, that we've had some people in the Discord that have been sharing, hey, liking the story, back half is way better than the front half. But really, this is where this thing is ramping up. And let me ask you this question. And so we see a lot of times, especially with Lancelot, he's portrayed in most stories when we read about Arthur and his knights, he's portrayed as the dude, as the knight of knights, the most noble. He's the greatest, knight ever or whatever. How do you feel about how he's being portrayed in The Bright Sword?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, like you said, the way they usually portray him is he's a knight's knight. He's the best knight, the most humble. He follows the knight order to the T. I really like this twist on how he is. Not everybody's perfect. Even Lancelot can be corrupted or whatever you want to call it. Even he's not perfect, although it may seem on the outside that he's perfect. He's not. It kind of gets a little more into the nitty gritty of his character. So
yeah.
I really enjoy that.
I mean, he's literally the worst.
Yeah.
It's not that he's not perfect. I mean, he's literally the worst.
Yeah, he is. He even, going back with something we didn't even mention, he even tries to convince Nimue to betray the rest of the misfit knights of the table. She's like, let Merlin go. I'll spare you. Everybody else is dead. She's like, no way, Jose. Get out of here.
Well, now that we've heard Lancelot's story, which obviously, Lancelot's the worst. And so we know that, but we've heard his side of the story with the Guinevere thing. And now we've heard Guinevere's side of the story. There are some similarities. He came to the place, there were some setup kind of things. He's saying that he was set up by someone. She's saying that she was set up by him as a ploy, basically, to become what he is, king. And because, Arthur was not, a godly enough man or whatever. Do you still think that, do you think that she's telling the truth?
Yeah, I think she's telling the truth. I don't think at this point, with how much she loves Arthur and how that's shown in her backstory and the different backstories with Arthur in it, I think it proves that her love, just like Lancelot loves God, Arthur loves, Mordred and these other things. Her love is for Arthur, and she really wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Now, could she be lying? Yes, I don't think so.
I don't trust anybody in this anymore.
You don't trust anybody. You don't think that she's.
I trust just the misfits now.
Yeah,
because all these other outsiders coming in, bro. I don't trust any.
I don't know. I think it does. She does mean it, and she is being genuine. She even calls out that, just for me, it's when she calls out Bedivere too, because she says, because you love Arthur as much as I do, the same way I love him. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of that connection between how much she loves Arthur and how much Bedivere loves Arthur kind of digs it into me that she means well and she is really here to help.
I don't trust any chick that comes in on a floating boat. Witchcraft.
I still don't know. That floating boat is one of the biggest mysteries in this book right now.
Man, it's been really, really good, man. Great synopsis on that one, my man.
Well, yeah, I tried to make it as fun as possible.
Let me get some last 3 words, and then I have one fun question for all of us to answer. All right. Mine's just Lancelot's a jerk.
He is.
I mean, dude, I put Lancelot as lame as my name. I mean, he's just the worst.
He is a bum.
Dude, and you know what sucks is my name has been Sir Lancelot in every episode up to now.
It is.
Me and BJ fought, or me and Robert fought over who was going to be Lancelot when we started this book. And I won, so I guess I'm the worst. I don't know, but go ahead.
Let's see. Throwing him back to Scipio. Victory for Rome.
Victory for Rome. All right, Dylan, go ahead, bro.
Justin is Lancelot.
I betray all my friends to become the king. I love it. All right, boys, let me ask a question. So at the beginning, guys, before we started this episode, we decided we were going to watch some medieval MMA for a little while. So Robert's not here to defend himself, but let's say all four of us are in a jousting match, or let's not even say jousting match. We all get in a ring with melee weapons, and we're doing some medieval MMA. It's a battle royale. It's Kiwi, Sweet Baby Dylan, Robert, and myself. Who is walking out? Go ahead, Dylan.
I already did.
What's that?
I'm laying y'all out.
What's your weapon of choice?
I would probably go with the standard short sword and shield.
You're getting toasted, buddy. Don't even try that. You're done for. You're done.
Don't even get into the octagon, bro. You're done.
Don't even step in. I don't know if I'm gonna win, but I'm not gonna come in last. That's for sure. I'm gonna make sure of that I'm not gonna be the first one out. Buddy.
Listen, all I know is that my only mission entering the octagon is to lay Dylan out.
That's good. So while you two are fighting, I gotta fight BJ.
Yeah, that's it, dude. All right, bro.
My weapon of choice, by the way, two-handed axe.
Two-handed. Who's the first one getting taken out? Let's just say Robert, since he's not here.
Robert, he is a weak little knight. He's getting knocked off his horse in a joust. Easy.
Your two-handed axe ain't gonna do much when you lose a hand.
I ain't losing a hand, buddy. My axe is going straight through the top of your head.
Bro, I'm going with the Warhammer, bro. Your helmets have no use, dude. I'm caving those things in.
I'm not wearing one. Don't worry about it.
Oh, sweet. All right. Guys, give us a second. We'll be right back. And it's Sweet Baby Dylan time with some nerdy news.
It's time for nerdy news of the week.
Sounds like Empire State of Mind right here. That's what that beat reminded me of. In New York, concrete jungle. Never mind. Sorry. I was gonna say the joke version, and then I realized, wait, can't do that. Anyway, so it's time for nerdy news. So every time you step into an episode of the Nerdy Reads podcast, you can expect some of the latest and greatest news from across the Nerdverse. And of course, every single week, we like to start it off with a sighting of the week. And boys, this one is interesting. So I got a video for you guys. This is supposedly a series of footage of the mass UFO sighting in California that is terrifying people, and eerie footage of a mass UFO spotting in Palmdale in Lancaster, California have service. This is possibly the clearest and closest footage of a UFO not in 480p. This is getting weird. And what's
720?
Let's see it.
720, brother. Let's watch it.
720.
Bro, what the
Toasty! Oh. All right. Audio on.
Toasty. We're missing it, brother.
Looks like to be some rave lights.
Dude.
That's a practice drone show right there.
Interesting. Where do you find this at?
California.
Of course, scavenging the Reddits. So 25 days ago, this was posted. So, I mean, what do you guys think? UFO or no?
Bro.
This here is a drone show.
See, listen, dude. I want to believe. And so I'm going to say UFO spotting has happened in California. 100%.
Mass UFO.
That's crazy.
Maybe if I see another angle, I can believe it. But I'm thinking this is a drone show, 100%.
Listen, Keaton's right. It's just a drone show.
Boring.
Confirmed by another Redditor. It is indeed just a drone show. I found this one. I was like, I was kind of iffy about it, but I wanted to see if you guys would fall for it. It was just a drone show. It is very boring, very lame. Unfortunately, not real aliens. It has been debunked. I wish it was, but that's okay. Tune in for next week because I'm sure we'll be able to find some real aliens or something like that. Who knows? Maybe Bigfoot.
We know the kind of guy who would fall for this.
You know what though?
Yeah, this guy.
You know what, though? Let me go ahead and say this. Of course they're saying it's drones. And that's what the government wants you to think. They want you to think it's drones.
It's just like that 12-foot alien that was in the mall in Miami. It's the same thing. The government cover up.
Always 12 feet.
Yeah, bro. They're covering this up, bro. There was a ton of aliens in California, and now they're saying, oh, it was just drones. Of course they would say that, bro. It's just weather balloons, you know. I mean, we know
this guy.
They've been doing this for years.
You make a compelling argument. You heard it here first.
Really, aliens.
This guy. Am I right?
It's me. It is cover up.
But yeah, so that was our sighting this week. And gentlemen, going into nerdy news, I got something. It's kind of the elephant in the room right now.
All right.
Listen.
I'm ready. That was the longest listen we've ever had in nerdy news.
So the PS5 Pro was just announced. Okay. So let's talk about it. So the PS5 Pro is here and it's going to set you back a total of $699. And that will not be coming with a stand or a disk drive. So with that being said, I gotta get real here for a second. Okay. I got a question. Got a question for the boys over there at the Last Co-op podcast. Okay. Explain. How do you explain this? The absolute the absolute astronomical audaciousness of Sony to sell us a $700 console that doesn't come with a disc drive or even a stand.
How much extra is this disc drive?
Well, I'm confused. I guess, okay, I'm going to be 100% honest. I know that this is a thing, and I knew that this was happening, that they announced this. I guess I haven't paid attention to the stand situation. Are you telling me that if I spend $700, I just get this sphere or this oval thing that won't even stand on its own thing, right? It's just what I just have to
see. Now listen here, this is a misconception. I think it does stand, but only horizontally, not vertically. The vertical one is the one you got to pay for. So you can lay it on its side like a VCR.
Okay. Are you sure?
Well,
sure?
Yeah. Bro, were you alive when VCRs were a thing, bro?
Yeah, I got the original trilogy Star Wars on VHS.
Okay. Fair enough.
I used to have that. I don't think I have it anymore, unfortunately, but I used to have that. I know what you're talking about. But I don't know. Does it? Are you sure? Because so I currently have my PlayStation 5 that I unfortunately bought laying horizontal, and it came with a stand. Okay.
Does it?
But without the stand, it would not be able to sit horizontal. So are you sure it's horizontal?
Now, see, the picture that I saw, it is horizontal. The picture that I saw was it maybe had little legs on the bottom of it laying horizontally.
So wait a second. Okay. Unfortunately, Purchase, bro, did you not enjoy them Spider-Man games?
Bro, that's literally the only game I played.
Mm-hmm.
That and Days Gone. I haven't played any other, well, Helldivers too, I guess, but that's about it.
Yeah, bro. 4 games.
That's all I got. Couple games.
4 fun games.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else. See, if you were to listen to the last podcast episode that I was on, we talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
He got you there.
We discussed this. Hey, if you haven't already, go check out the boys over at the Last Co podcast. We discussed everything Xbox on the episode that I was so graciously featured on. I very much enjoyed my time talking to those fellows over there. But again, please answer my question.
That's a call out. Dylan's all about the call outs, dude. Challenge. Gauntlet's been dropped.
But last question about this topic, though. I mean, are you guys going to buy it? What do you think?
If I was to buy a PlayStation 5, sure. It has got good specs. So if I was to get a PlayStation 5, then maybe.
I mean, it does have good specs. It is. I mean, $700 is we go through this all the time with consoles, though. Like every time a new console drops, we all complain about how expensive the console is, and then eventually it becomes normal, and we're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like even this console generation, when Xbox Series X dropped and the PlayStation 5 dropped, every person complained about the price point of those consoles. And then eventually we just let it go. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's still cheaper than buying a PC that's going to do the exact same thing by like leaps and bounds. And so, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to buy one. I have a PS5. If my PS5 like caught on fire tomorrow and I was going to replace it, I maybe I would consider it. But am I going to get rid of what I have to get one? Probably not.
So the picture that I'm seeing is it has two little legs right in the middle to keep it kind of from tipping over, but it's laid horizontally.
Nice. There you go.
Interesting. Well, I feel like if you're going to spend $800, you might as well just buy a PC. I mean, I'd much rather have slightly less performance and more, a much bigger game library versus $800 for one console. Or you could make the smart decision and go buy yourself a Series S, and it's only $300, and you can play the exact same games, slightly less performance maybe, but I mean, for really under half the price, or more than half the price less. I mean, I think a Series S is a lot better bang for your buck there than the $800 PlayStation 5.
There you go.
So anyway, with that being said, our last piece of news today is something that I am a little bit more excited about. It's something that I've been anticipating for many, many years. So we discussed this over on the Optic Blast broadcast with my boy Blake, but I wanted to bring it over here to hear your all's thoughts. Didn't know if you guys were fans. Didn't know if you guys had really how much knowledge you all had about the situation. But so Linkin Park, probably one of the biggest names in rock, the whole rock genre as a whole. I'm a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan. I've been listening to them for many, many years. And they have not released any new music for over 7 years. And if you guys are fans of Linkin Park, you all probably know why. I don't really want to go into the details about that because we are a family-friendly show. But if you don't know, I mean, go look it up, quick Google search. But if you are a fan, you know why. But they recently announced that they're going to be coming back and with a new lead vocalist, which a lot of fans are very not really into. Some people are a lot more into it than others. I feel like since the episode dropped, or at least we recorded the episode of Optic Blast and talked about it on there, there's been some things that have kind of come out that have not necessarily shifted. I still am very positive about it. Shifted my view of it a little bit, but again, that's something I probably don't necessarily want to go too much into on this show. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on whether you are a believer in this new lead vocalist for Linkin Park, or if you guys are even Linkin Park fans.
Sure.
I'll go first here since I don't have a strong opinion on this. Okay. I am not an avid Linkin Park listener. If you ask me to name one of their songs, I probably could not. So, but I have seen a side-by-side comparison of the new singer singing one of their songs and the old singer singing one of their songs. And I like the old singer a little bit more, but I'm also not against older groups getting new band members. I don't think just because they have a new member, they should be completely discounted. So I think a new member will be good. If people like the type of music they make, I don't think it'll make that much of a difference.
Yeah. So I listened to her and I thought she did a good job. And as far as Linkin Park goes, I mean, Linkin Park's been around for a very long time. And I remember them from, I don't even know, maybe I might have been in high school or just removed. I mean, they've been around a very long time. And I've liked Linkin Park. I have a lot of appreciation for what they do. They've made really good music over the years. And so I think sometimes with things like this, people forget that it is a band. And because it's a band, there are several other members, and that is a part of who they are also. And this was an unfortunate incident. And sometimes people leave for various reasons from bands, and bands continue to go on. I know this is a harder thing because there is, again, like Dylan said, you can look those things up, but when someone loses their life, it's a different thing. And so it makes it harder to do the quote unquote replacing of. And even though it's not a replace, Chester will be a person that people will always remember as a phenomenal vocalist for rock and roll music. The band can go on and they can continue to make music that is successful and good, and they can still play their old songs because the rest of that band is still intact. And I think they still have passion for what they're doing. And so, I mean, I think she did a good job. I'm hopeful for them and what they're going to do with this project and what they do. And so, yeah, I'm not anti this at all. I hope people keep it cool. I know there's some things out there in the media that is like making this even more divided than it even needs to be. But I understand that too, because we all feel connections to celebrities, and that's a real thing. And we feel some sort of loyalty, and sometimes we feel like something cannot go on without something that we love being a part of it. And sometimes that's true, and other times it's let them try and see what happens with it. And I hope they succeed. I really do.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I very much look forward to seeing what Emily is able to do in the band and in the future project they got coming up. The song they released I thought was really good. So I was very supportive whenever everything came out and it was happening. I was like, yes, let's do this. This is great. Since then, I'm still in that mindset. I'm very positive about the future. But so without going too deep into it, I do want to say, I know Chester's son ended up actually kind of speaking out and almost against her stepping in the role that his father used to be in, and which is completely understandable. I mean, seeing, especially, being Chester's son and having to lose your father that way, I can only imagine how much it hurts to see someone stepping in to fill that role. But in defense of, I feel like the rest of Linkin Park, like I feel like it's not really fair to, as much as the whole situation really sucks. I feel like it's not fair to put that expectation on them to not continue, because it, like you said, it is a band. And they lost their brother, someone that they've been with for years and someone that they toured with for a long time. And I'm sure we're extremely close with. And so they had to have like a healing process and to get through all that. And obviously they don't have that relationship as like father-son that his son does, but they are a band and this is their livelihood. And yeah, they could go join other bands or have other avenues that they could take in order to be successful. And I believe that they could be very successful. Even Mike has done his own solo stuff, and I believe that was very successful. But at the end of the day, I just don't think putting that expectation on them to not continue is not very fair with the given situation, in my opinion. So again, I don't want to go like too much detail because we're trying to make it family friendly. We don't want to be too down either on it.
But to speak into that a little, I understand him too, though. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand I'm not in that situation, but I could see why he would feel that way. I'm not, I've been very fortunate. I'm not going through what he's going through. And so if I was, I might be saying the exact same thing, and I think two things can be true. And oftentimes, we want to say it's this or it's that. And we're very black and white in how we view things. And it can be, this is true, but so is this. And we could say, hey, this band, as fans, we could say, hey, they're a band and they can do it. But also say that he has a right also to be like, I hate this. Because I'm pretty sure I'd probably hate it too, if I'm being real. Like if I was the family member, if I was a son, or if I even put myself in a position, if it was my spouse, I might absolutely hate it. Just the thought of people carrying on without the person I love. And so it's hard. It's just, it's hard. Mixed feelings, but I hope they succeed. And I hope that he heals too. And I feel for everybody that's involved in this, because being in a band is a brotherhood. I've been fortunate enough to be in some bands with people for a decade or more. And it's maybe not the same level as Linkin Park, obviously, because they're one of the biggest bands in the world. But when you spend time touring with people and playing shows with people and all that, it is it makes everything different. There's a very bit much a family vibe to that, brotherhood, or even whatever, sisterhood, that whatever. And so it would be devastating to lose somebody, and then try to figure out, do we keep going? And they didn't just pick up and say, hey, we're going to keep going. I mean, we're years removed. And so I'm sure that they've been going through it, but
I think this is a great way too, just his history with the band, and everybody knows it, right? It's just, I feel like them continuing is just kind of building onto his legacy. Yeah. Because he is part of the history of the band. Yeah. So that's another way I kind of look at it, is just them continuing is building onto his legacy, because he's going to always be a part of that.
Absolutely. Those are still his songs, like he's still a very big part of that. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, we're going to change directions here. We got the vibes a little bit low, but we're going to get them back up. We're going to get them back up. Okay, let's go. Justin, you know what time it is?
Man, it's time for What's Hot. And today, for What's Hot, I'm talking about the book Impossible Creature. So I'm going to throw up this little thing here for us to be able to see, so you can see the cover of this book. And so Impossible Creatures, I found this today. It's written by Catherine Rundell. The day Christopher saved a drowning baby griffin from a hidden lake would change his life forever. It's the day he learned about the archipelago, a cluster of unmapped islands where magical creatures of every kind have thrived for thousands of years until now. And it's the day he met Maul, a girl on the run who desperately needs his help. Maul and Christopher embark on wild adventures, racing from island to island, searching for someone who can explain why the magic is fading and why magical creatures are suddenly dying. They consult sphinxes, battle kraken, and negotiate with dragons. But the closer they get to the dark truth of what's happening, the clearer it becomes. No one else can fix this. And so they go on and they do this. They go and they find all these adventures. This thing is currently sitting at 4.18 on Goodreads out of 5,493 ratings. Something I found interesting when I was kind of looking at some of the reader reviews is people are saying, hey, it has been rare that I have found a book at the age of 30 plus that has transported me back to my childhood days of dreaming and using my imagination. So I thought this was a kind of a cool looking book in that fantasy realm. So go check that out.
It's got a dragon on the cover. I dig it.
That's all we need, dude, on this show. Dragons. If there's dragons on the cover, we're probably going to cover it. All right, coming up next week is the final episode of The Bright Sword. We have a lot of things that we have coming up after this, but we are going to go ahead and polish off the bright sword next week. Our boy Robert is going to return to help us finish this thing up. Kiwi's going to come back too. You've been here the whole time, Sir Keaton. You might as well help us finish the bright sword.
Dragging me along.
Nah, dude, it's been awesome. We really do appreciate you jumping in and helping us tackle this monstrous book. But if you're reading with us, you know it's been getting better. Can't wait to see what happens. Can't wait to go and see what Arthur's condition is. Does Lancelot succeed? What is Colum the next king? We don't know. We'll find out next week. We will know. Next week, we will know. So we'd love for you guys to join us on Discord and kind of engage in that content. All right, guys, you guys know we started a new thing. We started a new segment. It's called the mailbag. So we got a couple of questions from some friends here, and we're going to have to burn through these because I know we're starting to get up there on the time here. But Crispy Bacon, once again, wants to know your top 3 horror movies. Dylan, hit us first.
Oh, that's a great question. So number 1, I would go with I think 2019 It movie would probably be up there. I would go with probably Insidious. I think that's a really solid one. And then just to throw a slasher in there, I would go with Scream.
Scream's great. What do you got, Keaton?
I am not an avid watcher of horror movies, but if I had to pick some, I would say some more. I like sci-fi, so probably Aliens. Does that count as like horror?
Absolutely.
Aliens.
We'll go with it.
I would say probably there's one on Netflix that I watched. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like a series. Sorry, I forgot the name, but I liked that. And then that was more.
Was it Haunting a Hill House?
Maybe.
Okay, because that was great.
Is that like a slasher kind of?
No,
maybe not that one, but I have heard of that one. And that one, I'm pretty sure I watched that one. That one's good too. And then a third one would probably be no, that's not. I was gonna throw one in for fun, but I'm not going to. One that I did see when I was younger that kind of scared me was My Bloody Valentine. That one's I couldn't sleep for like a week after I seen that thing.
Dude, that's good. That's good. All right, mine. It's easy. You know, number 1, I'm not going to rate them in order, but I'm just going to give them to you. Number 1, Jeepers Creepers. Love that movie. Don't know why. I went and saw it in theater, and I just remember it. I loved it. Jeepers Creepers 1. Love Jeepers Creepers 1. Mothman Prophecies. I like those movies that are very much under the radar, like what is actually happening kind of thing. I love that movie. And number 3, I'm gonna take one of Keaton's, Aliens. I love Aliens. It's a great movie. Got to go Aliens. If we're gonna count that as horror, I definitely think it is. So there you go. Those are what I would call my top 3. Okay, next, Watson 2 Hotson wants to know English or Spanish.
Depends on the situation.
That's it. We know what Dylan picks.
My kids ask that all the time.
Every time I hear that, I just think of the song.
Yep. We had Robert actually commented on this, and this is for you, Dylan. He wants to know, what book would Dylan like to see adapted into a movie?
A book adapted into a movie.
Yeah. Out of all the books you've read, what book?
Honestly,
Heir to the Empire.
You just gave him an answer.
I mean, I was gonna stay away from Star Wars, not to go on a rant. I know Robert. I wasn't gonna take the bait. Okay, I wasn't gonna take the bait, Robert. I was gonna say Vengeful, but just because you said that, I'm going with Heir to the Empire.
They would just ruin it like they did the Acolyte.
Heir to the Empire without this.
Super Reader put on here top 5 horror books, and while I love this question, I feel like this one we would be dishonoring our boy Robert. So let's save that for next week. So it gives you guys all week long to process some answers of your top 5 horror books. You can even take, maybe books that have been adapted to that if you want to. So we also had a member that kind of shouted out a local author. So I'll go ahead and read this. He said one of his favorite local authors, J.H. Markert, did one. It was called Nightmare Man, and it's amazing. And it's published by Sleep Tight. So if you're local to our area, go check that out. Okay. So he's a local author that writes some horror books. So I think that's really, really cool. So that's it for the mailbag, but that's not it for us. We're almost there. We're almost done. Dylan's like, goodness gracious.
We're keeping you engaged for a while here.
That's right, dude. Lock in. All right, guys, we got a lot of things coming up. You guys, we're grateful that you hung out with us today. We're almost done with the Bright Sword. So we talked about chapters, 28 through 33. So we tackled that. Keaton did a great job on that. Dylan walked us through some nerdy news and the New Stuff Cafe, where we had a chance to just pay tribute to James Earl Jones. What an amazing dude, amazing actor, amazing man. We had a lot of fun along the way. They tried some some sort of shake, and Dylan had yet another bad experience at a fast food chain. Is it Dylan? Is it fast food chains? Well, we'll find out. We'll find out more next time we have a fast food element in our show. All right, so guys, we got a lot of things coming up, including we're going to be announcing the next book that we're going to do for our book club, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we're going to do during spooky season. So you're going to want to keep up with us. Dylan, where can they find us?
You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, and YouTube at the Nerdverse Podcast.
That's right. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And here's the thing, guys. We really, really appreciate you guys going and giving us a rating on all of our places or wherever you listen to us at. If you listen to us, you're an audio listener, it really does help us get our show out when you give us a review. And yeah, hit that 5-star, but also if you wouldn't mind, type a little something. Share the show with a friend. I know a lot of you guys have done that. That really, really does help us out. Go check out some of the other things that we got going on at Hipster Goblin Media, whether that's Optic Blast Broadcast, who released an episode this week, Anime Tofu, who also released an episode this week. There's a lot of things happening in our world in the Nerdverse, and all those shows do the same thing. We try to keep things safe for work and family friendly, so that way you have some place to go to find all that stuff. So, guys, we know that we cannot, will not, should not ever end an episode of Nerd Reads Podcast without some wisdom, some advice, some words from our very own sweet baby Dylan.
Listen. Vader never let asthma prevent him from following his dreams, and neither should you.
You know what? That's good advice.
I haven't heard that one yet.
No, nobody said that one yet. When Dylan was missing, nobody said that one. It's been a while. I'm just joking. Hey, listen, last week it went over our heads. This week we're all in agreement. So here at the Nerd Reads Podcast, we enjoy a good story. We believe your story matters. So be good to each other. Stay nerdy, our friends. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. And check out the Discord where you can look at dogs in the Floof board channel.
I do.
Floof board.
Floof board.
Bye.